All right, let's dive in. So you've done it. You've built this absolutely amazing decision support system. The technology's perfect, it's slick, it's powerful. But now for the million-dollar question. How do you get your organization to actually use it and get all that value back out? That's the critical puzzle we're going to solve today. Okay, so picture this, because this is where so many projects start. The code is just beautiful. The database is solid as a rock. The models are chef's kiss, powerful. From a purely technical standpoint, it's a masterpiece. And here's the catch, the painful truth, right? A technically perfect system that just sits there collecting dust is, well, it's a failure. The real challenge isn't just about building cool tech. It's about getting people, real human beings, to welcome it into their workday. And that brings us right to the final hurdle, implementation. This is the phase that so often gets underestimated, but believe me, it is where projects either take flight or completely fall flat. So what do we even mean by implementation? Here's the key thing to remember. It is not just about installing software. It's about deliberately, thoughtfully introducing change into an organization. We're not just swapping out tools here. We're messing with habits, with workflows, and sometimes even with the internal power dynamics. It's a big deal. And because we're talking about change, we absolutely have to talk about the human element. Specifically, we need to understand why it's completely normal for people to push back against something new, even if we know it's objectively better. Let's just ask it straight up. Why is this so hard? Well, it turns out the reasons are super predictable, and spoiler alert, they have very little to do with the technology itself. Let's break these down because I bet you'll recognize them. First up, you've got simple self-interest. The fear that this new system might make you less important or take away some of your control. Then there's the fear of the unknown. Am I going to be able to learn this new thing? There can also be suspicion, especially if people don't trust the folks who are pushing for the change. And finally, you have good old-fashioned conservatism, just a simple belief that, hey, the way we do things now works just fine, thank you very much. This isn't people being difficult, it's just human nature. Now, a researcher named S.L. Alter, he really dug into this and identified 8 major risk factors that can totally sink a project. And just look at this list. It's almost all about people and process. You've got risks like having unwilling users to begin with, or maybe the person championing the project suddenly leaves, or even worse, the team can't even clearly explain what the system is supposed to do. Yeah, technical problems are on the list, but they're just one of 8. The real minefield is the human side of things. Okay, so if we know all the risks, how do we dodge them? What's the playbook for success? Well, the good news is, Alter didn't just point out the problems. He gave us a set of really powerful strategies to navigate the whole challenge. And here they are, the 4 core strategies. This is your game plan, right here. 1. Divide and conquer. 2. Keep it simple. 3. Build a support base. And 4, institutionalize the system. Let's dig into what each of these really means. First up, divide and conquer. Look, instead of this one big, scary, big bang launch, you break the project down into smaller, more manageable chunks. You use prototypes, get feedback early and often. Taking this step-by-step evolutionary approach makes the whole thing way less intimidating and lets you course correct as you go. Strategy number 2, simplicity. This one is just huge. Your system might be doing some incredibly complex calculations under the hood, but to the user, it has to feel simple, intuitive. The goal is to hide all that complexity. You want the tool to slide right into their existing workflow, not force them to learn a completely new way of working from scratch. Number 3 is build a support base. And you need to attack this from 2 directions, from the bottom up and the top down. You've got to get your end users involved right from day one. Their buy-in is absolutely essential. But just as important, you need visible, vocal support from top management, so the entire organization knows this is a real priority. And finally, institutionalization. This is the end game. This is the goal. You want to make the DSS so essential, so perfectly woven into people's daily tasks that they can't even imagine doing their job without it. And that only happens when the system truly meets their needs, when you back it up with great training, and when it's tailored to their skills. Okay, so you did it. You followed the playbook, you launched the system, people are using it. But how do you actually know if it's a success? It's way more complicated than just checking if the power light is on. Right. So success isn't just one thing. This framework here breaks it down into 4 key areas we need to look at. First, there's system performance. You know the basics. Is it fast? Are people using it? Then, and this is more important, task performance. Are we actually making better, faster decisions with it? Third, the bottom line, business opportunities. Is this thing actually making or saving us money? And finally, you got to look to the future with evolutionary aspects. Can this system change and grow with us? You really need to measure across all 4 to get the true story. One of the biggest factors in making a system feel essential, making it really stick, is integration. If it feels like this clunky, separate thing you have to log into, people will reject it. It has to feel like part of the furniture. And there are 2 main ways to think about integration. First, there's functional integration. That's all about connecting the DSS to the other business systems and workflows people already use. Then you have physical integration, which is more about the nuts and bolts, making sure the hardware and software fit nicely into your existing technology stack. You absolutely need both to make it feel like one smooth, seamless experience for the user. Now, this model right here, this is a great picture of what that total integration looks like when you nail it. See that organizational DSS right in the middle? That's the core, the brain. And look how it connects everything. It's pulling in data from inside the company, from outside suppliers, even from government sources. Then it's making all that intelligence available to the decision makers and the experts through all these different interfaces. This isn't some isolated tool, it's the organization's central nervous system. So everything we've talked about so far is this really powerful user-focused approach. But it's worth pointing out that this field is always changing, and there are other ideas, other philosophies that look at the problem from a totally different angle. One of those alternatives is called issue-based management. Now, instead of designing the whole system around what a specific decision maker needs, this approach focuses on the business process itself. It looks at the issues and the goals of each step along the way. It's a subtle shift in thinking, but it's an important one, from being person-centric to being process-centric. But no matter what approach you take, some truths are just universal. This quote says it all, really. Underneath all the strategies and all the cool interfaces, a decision support system is only as good as the data you feed it. The quality and the structure of your database, that is the absolute bedrock of success. Everything else is built on top of that. And that brings us full circle, right back to where we started, but with a whole new perspective. Building brilliant technology, that's just step 1. The real victory comes from preparing your organization to embrace that technology. So the question isn't just, is your tech ready? The real question you need to be asking is your organization ready?